I thought I was in love. I thought I was just going to get married one day, have his kids, and live happily ever after. But the joke was on me. But then I had my revenge in the sweetest possible way. Whenever I think about it, I still smile to myself. Welcome to Storytime from Anonymous.
Hi loves, welcome back to the channel. My name is Yak Nora. I share real life stories of people who prefer to tell their stories from the shadows. By the way, I post up to 4 times a week here. If that sounds like something you'll like, please consider subscribing. Thank you so much. Now let's get into the story.
So I found out I was pregnant too. At first, my heart skipped a beat when I saw those 2 lines. Me and Evan had been together for almost 4 years. We've been through ups and downs, but I thought our love was stronger. We even talked about getting married next year. We always wanted a baby, but we decided to wait till after our wedding. Well, fate had other plans because I found out I was pregnant some months after that discussion. I started feeling funny. I didn't see my period as I should have, so I panicked and did a home test. When I saw those 2 pink lines, I actually cried. They were happy tears though, because this was what I've always wanted. I imagined telling Evans over dinner, maybe filming his reaction for our memories. He always said he wanted kids, so I thought this was going to be a fresh start. That same day, I left work early to surprise him. He works remotely, but he told me he had gone out earlier that day, so I figured I'll just go home, cook his favorite dinner, and tell him then. When I pulled into the driveway, I noticed his car in the garage.
He didn't go to work and he didn't tell me.
But the living room lights were off. He is always in the living room because that's his working and favorite space. I unlocked the door quietly and heard voices from the balcony. They were laughing and giggling. I heard a woman's laugh. At first, I thought maybe it was one of his co-workers that came by. But when I got to the balcony and peeped through the door, my heart skipped. Evan was sitting close to someone. She was touching his arms and laughing happily like she was on a vacation. She turned and that's when I saw her face. It was Vanessa, his friend from college. That same woman he swore was like a sister to him. I froze. I couldn't breathe. I just stood there listening as he told her, "I'm just waiting for the right moment." She's so naive. She doesn't even question how I spend money. My stomach dropped. The money, my hard-earned money. He usually asked me to borrow him huge amount of money when he was, between jobs. And I have been paying everything. I pay the rent, I buy groceries, and I pay for utilities. I thought I was supporting my partner. Turns out I was financing his affair. Vanessa laughed and said, "You better make your move before she figures it out." Evan replied, "Don't worry. She's too trusting. I'll clean out the savings account before I leave." I nearly threw up from where I stood. The savings account, the one with my life savings that I have been saving for a down payment for a house, our house. I didn't confront them. I backed away quietly. At this point, I was shaking like a leaf. I drove around aimlessly until my hands stopped trembling. I slapped myself on the cheek and told myself to get it together. After some time, I felt better, so I headed back home like nothing happened. I smiled, I kissed him, we laughed and we joked, watching TV together on the couch. I pretended like I did not just watch him betray me. That night, I laid awake next to him, my hands on my stomach, promising my unborn baby that I would fix this, that we would be okay. But I was not just going to leave. No, I was going to win this. Over the next week, I became an actress. I became a sweet, clueless, supportive girlfriend. Meanwhile, I was collecting everything. Screenshots of his messages with Vanessa, bank records showing money transferred to an account in her name, which by the way was in another name entirely. Voice recordings of calls which he hid like a thief in the night to make. I opened another account. I transferred all my life savings and changed all my passwords. He must have wanted to withdraw some money and was told that the balance was insufficient because he confronted me that evening. I lied to him that my mother needed an urgent loan to rent a shop and I had to give it to her. Well, he believed me and we moved on. I quietly rented an apartment and started moving my essentials. He didn't even notice. He was probably too busy loving Vanessa. My bestie had my back all this time and supported me. The only thing she didn't say was, "I told you so," because she had always warned me about Evans. She used to tell me that he is a playboy who is just using me, but I didn't listen, and now look at me. If not for her, I would have broken down sincerely. Pretending like I didn't know anything was the hardest part for me because I had to put up with his disgusting hands on my body all the time. Then I went to a lawyer. She said what Evan did was fraud. He lied to access my accounts and used them for someone else. I wanted him to pay, so we started building a case quietly. By Friday, I had my plan. I told Evan I got approved for a small home loan. He acted thrilled, very thrilled. He asked how much and I said just enough to finally get out of this apartment. He was so happy. He started talking about furniture, paint colors, and investments. I'm sure while doing that, he was secretly calculating how much he could drain before leaving. That weekend, I made reservations at a small restaurant. I told him I wanted to celebrate our future. He showed up in a new shirt that I paid for, by the way, smiling like he had already won. The audacity of this man knew no bounds. Halfway through dinner, I said, "I have a surprise for you." I handed him a small envelope. Inside were printed screenshots, his messages with Vanessa, his fake investments and the bank transfers, everything. He went pale. He tried to talk, but I interrupted. "By the way, I sent copies of everything to my lawyer. You'll be hearing from her soon." He stammered something about misunderstanding, about how Vanessa meant nothing to him, that he was just borrowing the money. I smiled. "You mean the money you transferred to our account for your vacation, labeled future projects?" I laughed in his face. He started to raise his voice at me, warning me not to cross my boundaries, warning me not to betray him. He warned me not to take any drastic step that I would regret it. But I leaned in and whispered, "You should be ashamed of yourself. And you should also know that I'm pregnant." He froze. His mouth dropped open. He wanted to say something, but I continued. "Don't worry. You will never meet the child that you tried to scam your way through. I've already made sure of that." Then I stood up, paid for just my meal, and walked out. The next few days were chaos. He called non-stop. Then he sent threats. Then he apologized. Then he sent more threats. I went to the police and reported his threats. He was called in to sign an undertaking that if anything happened to me, he would be held responsible. My lawyer filed charges for financial misconduct and fraudulent misrepresentation. Well, I moved out of our rented apartment because the rent was expiring in a month anyway. After about 2 months, the landlord removed him from the house because he couldn't pay the rent. My lawyer called. Evans had been served. We appeared in court and after everything, he was ordered to pay the sum of 3 million naira to me. Well, so far he has paid 2.2 million, which I'm thankful to God for because I was even thinking I was not going to see any money from him, as broke as he is. I settled into my new home and I have given birth to a beautiful baby girl. God had been faithful. I am enjoying the ambience of my new apartment. I am enjoying the fresh scent of my baby. And for the first time in months, I feel peace. I thought his betrayal would break me, but it just built a new version of me. I am smarter, stronger, and unstoppable. He thought he was using me. He didn't know that I would be the one writing the ending.
We've come to the end of today's story, loves. What are your thoughts? Remember, be blunt, but be kind. Do you have a story you've been wanting to share? Maybe a confession, a rant, or something deep? You can submit it using the Google form link in the description box below. It is completely anonymous. Your identity will never be collected. No email, no login required. Feel free to be honest. I'd love to read your stories in future videos. That's all for today, loves. Thanks for watching.